Welcome everyone to my second Star Wars Unlimited video. This is the second video in the cycle preparing you guys for your pre-release. This time we are talking about Vigilance. If you guys missed the aggression video, you can check it out in the comments below. Be sure to give that one a watch as well. In that video we talked about our rating system, but I will briefly again go over it. S are given to cards that make you want to switch into the class. A and B are very strong cards. C are just playables. D and F are your bad cards and things we should avoid playing completely. And that is your brief rundown of the scores. And now let's get into the cards. This time we're going to start with the leaders. And the first leader we're going to talk about is Luke Skywalker himself. So Luke is given to you guys, which is really important. Luke and Vader are both just handed to you as part of your pre-release kit, so you're guaranteed a Luke. So if you really want to play around him, you get to. His ability is you can pay 1 to give a shield token to a hero unit you played this phase. The playing this phase is a little bit restrictive. If it wasn't on there, this card would be for sure an S. But it is still a solid ability that you can rely on as long as you pay that 1 tax, which does hurt your curve a little bit, but adding a shield means it's okay to play a little bit worse stats, as your guy needs to get hit twice most of the time. I'm giving Luke a B. It is a solid card, a solid leader, and to be honest, is much better than the other blue leaders that we are going to talk about next. Another good thing about Luke is his flip side is a 4/7 that dishes out shield tokens whenever he attacks. So he has a pretty strong flip side that comes out on 6. The other blue-white leaders, we can get into Chewbacca. His ability is pretty bad. He can play a unit that costs 3 or less from your hand, but you have to pay his cost still, and it gains Sentinel for the phase. It's pretty useless on turn 2 and 3. Doesn't really matter if you give your unit Sentinel, in my opinion. Therefore, you're only really using his ability in the late game to somehow block another unit that might go face and kill you. But you're still paying for that unit, which means you're not getting able to play your big guys in those later turns. So he's a really awkward leader, and I'm not really in love with it at all. But his flip side is a 2/9, and that is a huge body, and it has Sentinel. So this guy, when it comes out at 7 resources, I think is actually a pretty strong leader. And for that, I'm giving him a D, but only because he's good on 7 resources. But again, all these leaders are stats, and that's not enough to like want me to play Chewbacca. So most of the time, really all the time, we should be picking Luke over Chewie, unless we just really want to play him because we like the character. And pardon me if I don't say his name right, but it's Shrute, and is the next leader we're talking about. Somehow we could get worse than Chewie, and we are giving him a straight F. Please do not pick this unit. All he does is absolutely nothing. I actually, and I apologize, do not see any value in giving a unit +0, +2 for the phase. That honestly could read tap do nothing, because if your unit trades with something and wins the trade because it has 2 more HP, well, it's going to die at the end of the turn. So I have no idea why this would be useful. You could say, well, I get to pump my guy first attack and then, play an upgrade. Well, why didn't you just play the upgrade first, unless you were just trying to be sneaky? That's not really worth it. And on the other side, he's a 5-mana 3/5, which is not great stats. And his ability is practically nothing unless your opponent makes it good. The only cool thing I can see is it trades and lives at 1 HP, and then your opponent has to send a whole card into it. But they'd have to do that anyway, right? And I guess a better example is if they attack it and kill it, and you still get to trade and kill something. I don't know. It's a really weird leader and a really bad effect, and I would never ever ever pick this when you have Luke always available to you. And I would always play Chewie over him too. So not looking good for Mr. Shrute, so let's ignore him. But he has a cool weapon, so there's that, right? All right, we have Director Krennic coming next. He's on the bad guys, sadly. And actually, I like the bad guys this set. But anyway, each friendly damage unit gets +1, +0. This effect is kind of nice because you don't have to tap or pay anything. It just always is on. And for that reason, I'm giving him a C. Um, a C is actually pretty high for this leader, but I mostly did it if you really wanted to play blue-black. Um, the other leader is pretty bad, so this is kind of your only choice. And yeah, I do like that he flips into a 2/7. The restore is whatever, but it's much better than flipping into a 3/5. I think much better stats. So the 2/7 is nice. The restore 2 is whatever, but I am going to give him a C because his ability is just always online, no matter what's going on, and that incremental value could add up. Now we're going to talk about Versio. Her ability is when you tap her, if you lost a unit, or sorry, if your enemy lost a unit, you can heal 1 damage from your base. So kind of a control-y effect, right? It doesn't cost any resources to activate. You just use a kill spell, or you trade up, or you trade even, right? You tap her, heal damage. Pretty cool. But her flip side is a 6 resource 4/4, which is terrible stats. It comes with a shield, but I don't think that makes up for it since it's coming out at 6, and has the same ability. And when enemy is defeated, heal 1 damage from your base. So maybe when she's out and about on the field, you can get a couple more points of healing since it's not once per turn. But even still, I really rather play Krennic. I'm gonna give Versio a D, which really means we shouldn't be looking to play blue-black as our main, and really even not even really looking to play blue-white. But I will say blue has some of the stronger cards in limited, so I really advise blue to be a splash color. But hey, could be wrong about these leader ratings, but I really don't think so. But yeah, so blue seems like a splash color going in just because their leaders are pretty low. But Luke is solid. B is a solid rating. It's just Vader. Vader's very, very good. And yeah, those are the leaders. So let's move on to the actual cards, and we'll see the cards are pretty good. If you haven't noticed yet, the just base blue cards, base red, base yellow, base green, they're always gonna be a little bit weaker than when you add like heroic or villainy to the tagline. So these get a lot more C's, just fine playables, and then you'll see a lot more B's, A's, S's when you start adding more cost restrictions onto them. But let's get going. So we got 2/1B Surgical Droid. It is a 1 cost 1/3. On attack, you may heal 2 damage from another unit. I do kind of like this guy's art, but sadly, I am giving the droid an F. In my last video, I talked about how I don't really like 1 cost units in this game as much, especially when they rely on other units to do stuff. It just means you'll never, ever have the initiative. So you play him, you play another guy, and your opponent will have the initiative because they just played a 3/2. And that 3/2 is going into your 1/3. And it does nothing. I also don't know what damage you're healing from a unit this early. It just seems really clunky and has not, its stats are on rate technically, but it's just it just dies for free a lot of the time. So I would not look to play this droid. Next up, we got Baze Malbus. It is a 4 resource 2/5 with grit, and if you have the initiative, it has Sentinel. Baze is a good example of a playable card. So at 4, I would be looking for a 4/5, ideally, or a 5/4 in terms of stats. So he's 2 below, but has grit, which means, when he's at taking 1 damage, he's almost there. 2 damage, he's on rate. But 4 damage, he's way above rate. But then he's only at 1 HP left, right? And he does have this added benefit of Sentinel, which I would say you can drop 1 attack to have the Sentinel. So, he's sitting slightly below rate, and after trading 1 time, and if he lives, he can be above rate. For that, I just make him playable because he has to do something in order to become a good card, right? Otherwise, he's just sitting a little below rate. And yeah, that's a C. Capital City, I much prefer the other base, which we can, look, peruse down here, the swamp. So play the swamp if you have to. Don't play Capital City. F for Capital City. All right, Cargo Juggernaut is a 6 resource 4/6 ground tank unit that has shielded, and when played, heal 4 if you have another blue unit. Cargo Juggernaut is a B. This is a pretty good unit because it comes in with a shield. It sits at 6 HP, which I think is a good number. And yeah, it's a solid unit. There are some kill spells that just straight up kill things over shield units, and that is always sad. But it's coming out with the shield. You can kind of say, like, would I play a 5-mana 4/6 that Luke could give a shield to? And yeah, that'd be pretty nice, right? I would do that, but this is like an all-in-one, so it just comes with. And then you have that little bit of extra value of healing 4 from your base, which really does, if it was going to be a C, push it up to that B rating, where sometimes it has a relevant tag of healing 4, but just a 4/6 shielded unit is always going to be reliable. Next up, we have Cloud City Wing Guard. His gun looks so small, and maybe that's why he only has 2 attack, but he is a 3 resource 2/4 Fringe unit. He has Sentinel, which makes him playable, right? He's 1 below stats, but like we said, you can drop 1 attack if you want to add the Sentinel tag, and this makes him literally the definition of a playable card. His stats do exactly what they should do for 3 resources. Swamp S, we're playing it right, way prettier. Next up, we got Paper Towel Lady. I don't know, I'm sorry for the artist. I think this is cool art, but the first time I saw this and every time after, I just see paper towels or toilet paper, just, flowing in the wind. And just like toilet paper, this card is doo-doo. Sorry, do not play this F. It is 2 resources, and I'm pretty sure, hold on, let me get a little closer. Yeah, it does have no effect, okay? It's 2 resources, do nothing, and cry about it. All right, that is an F. Distant Patroller is a 2 resource 2/1 space unit. And this is one of the lower ratings I'm giving a space unit. Sadly, I feel bad about giving a space unit a D because I like space units. But because Darth Vader is given to everyone, a 1-costed space unit just doesn't sit right with me. Even if it has an on-death effect that says you can give a shield token to another blue unit. Again, for this to be good, we need the initiative. And it just dies to Vader for free. If you have the initiative, when you play it, Vader kills it, okay? If you play it, Vader doesn't kill it, and you play another unit, then Vader kills it. I guess we're a little happy because we got a free shield. But a 2/1 is just a little too small to be doing anything. Especially if you look at all the other blue ships, they're 2/3s. So this just trades into it, does 2 damage, and makes it live, with the upside of sometimes giving a shield. But you just play 2 mana then to give a shield to a unit, and I don't know. I don't want to play that card either. And we'll talk about that later, but yeah. We're going to give it a D. It's pretty niche. Very cuttable space card. If you're running low on space cards, then we can definitely consider putting Distant Patrol in our deck. Electro Staff. You guys know how much I love upgrades. This is a 2 resource upgrade that gives +2/+2. And while it's attached, the unit is defending, the attacker gets -1, -0. F. All right, don't like upgrades. Don't play them. This one is one of the only ones. No, I can't say that because Entrenched is coming up. But, I thought about giving this a D because I was like, okay, maybe it's relevant because it has like the defending tag. But yeah, playing upgrades always gets you 2 for 1. Don't get baited like I almost did and giving this card a D. Just it's an F. Do not play Electro Staff or any other upgrades. Entrenched is a D. It's a 2 resource +3/+3. Now the reason why I'm giving this a D, why it's different than other upgrades, is because you can put this on your opponent's cards, and now they can't attack your base. That's a niche effect. That's a D, right? It's a relevant niche effect because you could have a really, really crappy space deck and put this on your opponent's space unit. Or maybe they played one of those late game space cards that's like an 8/8. And you're like, here you go. Now it's an 11/11, but it can't hit me, and I'm going to play on this side of the field. Smile, right? So there's the niche case for entrenched. Also, you could catch it to your guys. It is above stats for an upgrade, I guess. But again, I'm not really in love with upgrades in general, but this one does earn a D because it has variety of uses in the game. Guardian of the Wills. Almost gave this card an F, and it is a 2-resource 2/2 that I'm pretty sure reads get baited into playing upgrades in your deck. Uh, we'll give it a D, though. It is a card that can turn sideways, that has 1 below stats, which is a lot for a low-costed card like this. Its effect is its tag Fringe, but could come into play if we're playing upgrades, which I'm sure some of you want to do. And for that, I'll give it a D, but I don't really like this card at all, and I'm going to look to cut it in every chance I get. It binds all things. One of the few removal spells that I'm giving a C to. It has 2 resources, heal up to 3 damage from a unit, and if you control a force unit, you can deal that much damage to another unit. So if you do not play this on a force unit, it is an F. If you play it on a force unit, we'll give it a C, mostly because it's not reliable. First off, you need to have a unit that's alive but damaged, and ideally damaged 3, so you can deal 3 damage and not 1 or 2. So it's pretty niche in that regard, but I will say that like healing 3, dealing 3 is very strong for 2 resources, and it's just hard to pull off. You know, if this was a guarantee, just heal 3, deal 3. That's like what it said, whether it healed the 3 or not. You know, this would be B. It'd be a lot more premium than it is. But it's just a playable card, and we can always resource it if it does nothing. All right. Down here we have Make an Opening. It is a 3-resource event that gives a unit -2/-2 for the phase and heal 2 damage from your base. I don't think the healing 2 damage is really relevant. And another card right away that I'm giving a C to for removal. -2 is just not enough. Does not do much, and it's only for the phase, right? So it's not just 2 damage, it's only for the phase. Ideally, you're playing on this on something that just dies, like a 3/2. Obviously, you're trading 1 resource down, but you killed something. You know, later in the game, maybe it's just the extra 2 you need. And you could play it on something maybe to possibly live, because it does minus attack. But I'm not in love with this card, but it is a playable card. So for that, we're giving it a C. Moment of Peace. Yep, there's my moment of peace. All right, it is a 1-resource event. Give a shield token to a unit. I'm going to give this one a D. I think that, you know, Luke on-demand effect is really strong. Paying a whole card for it, not so much. But I will say, you know, this can happen at any point, and if you're in medium control of the field, like you're going back and forth and you play this and they don't immediately kill your guy, you know, you could trade. I kind of think this card is an upgrade, and you guys know I don't like upgrades, but the shield tokens are some of the best upgrades we can do because of just how sticky they are. And this one only costs 1, which is really cheap. But I'm still not in love with it. You know, if I gave pluses and minuses, which I didn't really want to do, this would probably be on the D- side. So I am looking to cut Moment of Peace, but I can see, like, I find myself playing a copy of this as my last card in my deck. So, yeah. Regional Governor is a 2-resource 1/4, so it is on rate for stats, but not in the way I really want to be. I like 2 3s rather than 1 4s, or 2 4s if the game's gracious to me. Name a card. While his unit is in play, opponent cannot play the named card. Unless you are a fortune teller, this card probably misses all the time. This is not constructed. We do not know what's in our opponent's hand. They could literally be playing anything. So it's really hard to guess anything unless you have some sort of outside information. And yeah, I don't think that's enough. 1/4, it is a D. You can play this card, but I'm looking to cut it. If it was a 2-mana 2/3, perhaps I'd give it a C, just because it is on rate. Repair. Heal 3 damage from a unit or base. That was fun to look at. Moving on. Oh, sorry, guys. You need a rating. F. Resilient. Why do we even talk about these cards? It is an upgrade that gives no attack. F. All right, Rugged Survivors is a 5 resource ground unit with 3 attack and 5 defense. It has grit, and on attack, if you control a leader unit, draw. Drawing cards is always good. This pairs well with the leader that comes down on 5. Kinda. Probably the one that comes down on 6 too, because this guy has to untap. Um, sadly, this unit I would say is 3 stats below rate. At 5, I'd be looking for a 5/6 or 6/5. You could expand that to a 4/7. But so it's a little bit below rate, but it has the sometimes draw card, which is definitely worth a lot of stats if it's being able to draw a card. But it's not on play, which is spooky to me. And the grit effect is nice, but again, is not immediate. It has to get hit, has to live, and if it gets hit for 2, I can't imagine this card. Someone just like, I'm gonna deal 4 to this card, and I'm gonna kill it later. And you're like, thanks, hit you for 7. Like, I don't really see that happening, or see why your opponent would be forced into that situation when it only comes out at 3. It's not very threatening. I think there's a lot better things you can be doing at 5 resources, so I'm gonna give this card a D. D plus though. Again, if I was doing pluses, I'd say like this card is playable just because it's a unit, but it doesn't really do anything too special. So we're gonna give it a D. Security complex. Just like all the bases, these are very strong. If you guys open one, you should be looking to build your deck around it. And like I said, blue is one of the best splash colors, if not the best splash color. So I'd be giving this base an S tier. Make your deck around security complex. Next one, we got System Patrol Craft. This is a space unit that costs 4 and has 3 attack and 4 defense and has Sentinel. Cool. Let's give this guy a C. Sentinel means 1 less attack, 4 cost 4/4. That's 1 below rate, but it's a space unit, so it's perfectly above rate, or perfectly on with rate, on with, not above, not below rate. Usually I give my space units an extra bump and put them to B. Blue has a lot of space units though, and this one just has a little bit low attack for how much it costs. And it has Sentinel, but doesn't defend much either. I don't know. It's a weird space unit that costs 4. I really wish this one cost 3. Maybe that'd be way too strong, but yeah, it'd be way too strong. So I give this one a higher C rating. It's definitely playable. We're never cutting this card from our deck. I'm not really excited to see it though, so it's just a playable space unit. Next up, we got Takedown. Defeat a unit. Ooh, we get to look at the hyperspace. Oh, it's like a hyperspace. Oh, this is a judge card? Holy moly. Just kicking them totally different. Yeah, this is OP. All right, well, got to get my hands on this card. Takedown is 4 cost. Defeat a unit with 5 or less remaining HP. This is premium removal. We're going to give it an A. Same thing with Vanquish. Just says defeat a non-leader unit. Premium removal, we're going to give this an A. Even though it costs 5, it could be played on any unit at any point in the game. If your opponent is playing an aggro deck, just resource this, but it is a very good card. And the last just blue card is Wilderness Fighter at 3 cost, 2/4 with shielded. I really like this card actually. So 3 cost, 2/4 is 1 below rate, just 1 attack below rate, which means if this had Sentinel, it'd be a C, but it has Shielded, so I'm going to give it a B. I think Shielded is way better than Sentinel. Definitely earns its stats. 1 below is definitely fine when it has Shielded. So Wilderness Fighters, I'm very happy to play, and I'm very happy to play a lot of them, even though 2 attack I think is a little low. I do like this card. All right, guys, we finished all the blues. We did it. Hopefully we're going a little bit faster pace than last time, but if not, just relax. Hopefully enjoy the sound of my voice. Not too bad, right? We're going to get into the double blue cards next, and we're going into Bendu, this massive creature that also has the force tag, which could be relevant, and it is a 6 cost for 7 with Sentinel, and on attack, the next single tagged thing you play costs 2 less. So we talked about this before, but I would not look to be playing double color in pre-release. It's really hard to get a massive amount of one color. If you somehow do, then we look to play it. But otherwise, I'm going to treat it as I'm going to give them 2 ratings. The first one is just if it had 2 more cost, because we aren't playing a double blue. And the second one is if we somehow manage a double blue deck. All right. So if this is costed 8, we're going to give it an F, way too expensive for what it does. If it costs 6, we're only going to give it a C. I think it's just playable. 4, 7 are the stats I'm looking at 5 mana. But it has Sentinel. That doesn't really push up a mana. It should just push it down 1 stat, right? It gets down 2 stats, though. They thought maybe it made up for it because it has this on attack trigger. But hey, I'm playing a Sentinel card on 6 that comes into play tapped. It probably just dies. Maybe it eats 2 things, but that's what a 6-drop should do to like 2, 3, or 4 drops. That's what they should all do. So, it's just a playable card. If you manage to attack with it once or twice, we're getting extreme value. This card could pop off, but I think most of the time it's just going to be a 4/7 Sentinel unit. And we're playing it probably in a mid deck because we're double blue, so it's just playable. I don't want to give you guys a higher rating on this card and be like, yeah, I need to play double blue. Okay, just stay away from the double colors in general. Next up, we got Vigilance, which is, one of the cards that come in every class, just the name of the class, and they all have modes. A lot of the time, this one, you're just going to be defeating a unit that costs 3 or less and giving a shield to something else if you want to go for the value ones. The healing is pretty niche, and discarding is also very niche, but hey, if you open 2 of this, it is a legendary, so probably not, but if we open 2 of this, the discarding 12 actually could be a real thing, but let's just pretend we're not doing that, all right? I think Vigilance, unlike Aggression, is an F if it costs 6. Defeating something that costs 3 or less is not good enough with 6 mana, and a shield to a unit is only worth 1. So it's like 2 over cost. Like, Vigilance is one of the things that, like, I think just this card should cost 4, and I think it would be a fair card even if it was just single blue. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, but we're giving this an S. Obviously, if we're playing double blue, even though I just called it a fair card, like it is like the reason to play double blue is we get Vigilance. It does a lot. Having the variety of choices is always super important. I just think like the card could be considered like fair when you compare it to the other ones. But again, I do think this card is very strong. So strong and fair is a better way to put it. But yes, it is an S. So if you open a Vigilance and you get a shoot ton of lots of blues, then yes, consider switching on over to blue. But I probably would not play double colored. And then we're going to scroll down a little bit and look at Protector, which is a 1 resource upgrade that gives +1/+1 in Sentinel. Whew. This is an F if it costs 3. And a D, I guess, if it costs 1. The +1/+1's irrelevant. The Sentinel tag is pretty cool in the late game where you can just give this to, your leader or some other big unit and they have to run through it. I think it could be pretty disruptive in the late game. But again, like, I would never open this and be like, yeah, got myself 5 protectors. We're going into double blue. All right, even in draft, I really don't like the idea of this card. So let's not overthink the D I gave it. D is still cuttable. Still don't really want to be playing these. Okay, guys, that wraps up the double blue cards. There's only 3 of them. And now we're going to get into the fun part, which are the bad guys, blue bad guys. All right, we got the AT Suppressor. At an 8 costed 8/8 when played, exhaust all ground units. This is a massive effect, but it does not kill anything. All it does is most likely slow down your opponent. It doesn't remove anything. It does not deal with threats. It might not even deal with their biggest threat if you don't have the initiative. If you do play it first because you have the initiative, all your units are exhausted, so you didn't get to attack with any of them. So you're kind of just delaying the whole game, but also saying, hey, opponent, do whatever you want with your 8 resources. I'm done. It is a big body, and for that, I'll give it a real score of a D. But I'm not actually excited about this one. I usually like big bodies and sealed, um, but man, will it feel bad if it just gets single target removed and you're playing your whole deck around this. So I'm not really excited about AT-AT Suppressor, mostly because you're paying so much for it to do absolutely nothing. This card is practically a vanilla, unless you're somehow like winning the game on 9 before your opponent. But again, your opponent just, I don't know. But hey, could be wrong about it, but I'm not in love with this card. Next up, we got Academy Defense Walker. It is a 6 resource 5/5 vehicle that has Sentinel, and when played, give an experience token to each friendly damage unit. When I play this card at 6, I should expect something like a 6/7. So like 1, 2, 3 below. Sentinel allows 1 below, right? So we're looking at 2 below stats for hopefully giving stuff experience tokens. So if I give one thing an experience token, it's going to be on rate. 2 things, 1 above, maybe 2 above. So, I think this card is just a playable. I'd expect it most of the time to give you 1 to 0 experience tokens. Obviously, there's that dream world where everything's sitting at 1 because your opponent did a bomb run and you have 5 guys and they're all getting +1/+1. Woo, right? Like that's a nice dream world. And now they're getting protected by your Academy Defense Walker. Like, woohoo. That could be pretty strong, but I don't think that dream world is going to happen almost ever. Again, I think it's going to only buff one thing, and its stats are really low. So for that, we're giving it a C. It's just a nice playable card. Nothing wrong with it. Avenger. This is a good unit. It is in space, cost 9, is an 8/8. But on play, kill something. On attack, kill something. Way better than the 8/8 that does nothing. And this has the evasion tag of space, so your opponent will not be running a bunch of ground units into it, but it could be killing a lot of ground units. So Avenger is an S. It is a legendary. If you open this, really, really think about playing blue-black. Obviously, it's very expensive, but this is sealed, so your decks are in general slower, and you could be building your deck to be slower and make it to 9 a lot easier than you think you can do. So just play cards that have good stats, and you'll make it to turn 9 all the time, or just beat your opponent. But Avenger is very strong. If it does not get immediately removed, you just win the game. If it does, you're incredibly sad, but you did at least kill something already. So it's just instantly win the game if it doesn't get removed card, and on just a fine card if it does get removed, even though you are sad. Count Dooku. All right. Is a ground unit, 7 resource 5/5. I'd actually be looking forward to this playing this guy as leader, but not a leader, just a unit. He is, oh sorry, did I say 5/5? He's only a 5/4. He has the force tag. He's shielded. Okay, so maybe that makes up for his really, really bad stats. Because what is 7 mana, like an 8/9? We probably want to be seeing 7/8, something a little bit higher. Once you get to the 7, 8, 9 resources, the stats stop mattering as much, and they should start plus 2ing almost. Something to keep in mind. But also, when played, you may defeat a unit with 4 or less remaining HP. So it is nice that it can come in and kill something a lot of the time. It's nice it says 4 or less, so its base could be higher. He does kill himself, which is interesting. The Dooku battles. But yeah, your Dooku getting Dooku'd would be doo-doo. That'd be really sad. His shield would be for nothing. But anyway, we should give this card a rating. It's an A. It coming out is a reasonable body. A little bit low, but kills something right away, so no matter what, got you your value. And is a sticky unit in the late game. So pairs pretty well with playing your leader the same turn as Dooku. Could be a huge, huge swing turn. Next up, we have the Death Trooper. This is on the fence of premium removal. If you remember before, there was a 3-costed neg 2 that I said was a C. This is a 3-costed 3/3, but you can kind of think of it as a 3/1 if you use its ability, which says deal 2 damage to a friendly ground unit and 2 damage to an enemy ground unit. So you can hit himself for 2 and then kill something for 2. Um, and if you do that effect, a 3 resource 3/1 that does 2 is a good card. I think there's not a lot of removal in sealed, so you take what you can get, and I'm going to give this a B. Go Death Trooper. Del Miko, I really, really like the art on this guy. Wonder how it looks hyperspace. I don't know. This was a good drawing, so good job, artist. This is a 3 resource 3/3 trooper that has restore 1. And each event an opponent plays costs 1 more. Oh boy, we get to punish my opponent for playing events. Sounds fun. This guy's just playable. He's a C. 3 mana 3/3. 1 below rate, whatever. Has restore 1, which is worth, I don't know, quarter of a card, maybe. And then each event costing 1 more. Not that relevant, but could delay like an open fire or something going against this guy if you play it on curve. So that's cool. Yeah, just playable. Has an annoying enough effect for it not to be a D. Next up, we got Gideon Hask. Or Hosk, probably, is a 5 resource 5/5. When an enemy unit is defeated, give an experience token to a friendly unit. This is not once per turn, so if you have a really, really nice turn when you play him and kill 4 guys, you're just thriving in experience. Very thematic card. I would say this card is a good example of a C. It has 1 stat below what it should, but it has a pretty okay effect. Kill one thing and your guy's on raid all of a sudden and has that nice upside potential. A lot of these cards, and especially in blue, have this crazy upside potential, but does not mean they always get there. Gotta be careful. Only a few more cards left of the blue-black guys, and we're going into a space unit, a 2 resource 2/3 that practically has no effect, a little bit of filtering. That can happen multiple times, but it's a space unit with 3 defense. I do like my space units. I'm actually going to give this card a B. It's like a C plus B minus, just because it doesn't do much, but it is a space unit, has that evasion tag, is on rate and stats, so these are things we're looking for in a space unit. Next up, we have Lieutenant Childson. I'm going to give this guy 2 ratings because I think it is a build-around card, especially if you're going into a mostly double blue deck. But it has Sentinel. It is a 4-cost 2/2 when played. Reveal up to 4 blue cards from your hand and gain +1/+1 for each revealed card. Let's say you're just playing this in a whatever blue deck. I'm going to give him a D. I think at most he'd be like a 4-cost 3/3, maybe 4/4 with Sentinel. But if you have him in a dedicated deck that for most of the time is going to have at least 4 cards in hand, and they're probably all going to be blue, this comes out as a 4-cost 6/6. That's above rate, guys. It's above rate. 4 is only 4/5. That's 3 above rate. That's a lot higher. That's bomb tier, and we're gonna give this an A. Okay, almost an S, but I don't really think you want to be building around him. He's kind of just more of a reward if you've already chosen to go this direction. That being said, it's an uncommon. Maybe if you get like 2 to 3, 4 of these, or you're getting a lot of them, then he becomes the reason we want to switch, and that would be like an S tier technically. So this card is very strong when you build around it. Power of the Dark Side, another good removal spell from blue. Like I said, this is a good splash color. They have lots of premium removal. This is a 3-cost, kill a unit, but your opponent gets to choose. A lot of the time, they don't get to choose because it's just the only one they got. This could kill really big things, really small things. I do think in the hands of a correctly played player. Yep, we said that right. When you play this card correctly, I think it's very strong. And for that, we're giving it an A. It is premium removal. Next up, we have Scout Bike Pursuer. It is a 2 resource 1/4 Imperial Trooper that has grit. Reluctantly giving this card a C. It is playable. It has the required stats to be playable, but it also comes with grit. I do think it's going to be hard to get these grit cards online, but at 4 HP, it will survive a hit and then maybe trade up. Like that, it would be pretty sick if it happens. You know, this 1/4 though could trade with a 2/3, like, and kill each other. So for that reason, I am making it playable, and it is a C. Search your feelings. Okay, so this we might have a little longer talk about how Star Wars is played. The whole game, in my opinion, is very tempo based because it's my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, right? Most of the time, we are always playing dudes. It's not like Magic where you're taking turns off sometimes just because you don't have the right stat. I think most of the time, turns are not being taken off in this game. A couple of reasons for that. One is there's no missing your resource or land drops, and two is you're drawing 2 cards a turn. You're seeing so many cards, so many. So reason number one is we don't need to search as much because we're seeing so many cards, and reason number two is it's hard to take a turn off because we're seeing so many cards. Is our opponent has so many cards, and they're going to play them and kill us. So taking turns off in this game are pretty bad most of the time. In Constructed, I think this card has a different story because you could be drawing for the board wipe on turn 7, even if your opponent knows it's happening and you are blowing up their board on turn 8. I think that's pretty relevant. But otherwise, I would not look to play this card at all in pre-release. It is an F, and maybe even one of the lowest Fs there is. So do not put Search Your Feelings in your deck. You're going to be really sad 99% of the time. Sorry, guys. But hopefully that makes sense and maybe you learned a little bit something about the game. Last card is the one we just talked about, Super Laser Blast. Defeat all units. This is premium removal, and we're giving it an A. Almost an S, I'd say, but I don't know. We probably could give this card an S, honestly, but I would just say it's premium removal. It kills your units too, which is sad. Playing this doesn't guarantee you win the game because you could spend your 8 resources to kill the board, and then your opponent could play an 8-drop. That would be really bad. And probably the reason I'm not giving an S. That makes sense. There we go. Justification. Yeah. But no, and honestly, that is a really big concern when you play this card. So you have to be clever and probably let your opponent use their resources first before you Super Laser Blast. So keep that in mind, but it is premium removal as it does blow up multiple things, and it is one way to completely turn a game around. Excuse me. So yeah, I like my Super Laser Blast. And that is the end of the bad guys, and I know you guys are getting sad as it's closing in on the end of the video, but we're going to be talking about the good guys now. So we got about 10-15 minutes left, and enjoy. First up, we have Consular Security Force. Good old vanilla. 4 resources, 3/7. That's it. I'm going to give this card. You guys want to guess? Yes. All right. Think to yourself. What is Spencer giving this card? It is costed 4, so he wants it to be 4/5. Oh, it's down 1 attack, but up 2 defense, so it is slightly above rate. And that slightly above rate, guys, is the reason I'm giving it a B. I love giving vanillas good grades, especially in set 1 when the effects aren't as strong. And this card is a monster sitting at 7 defense. That is really high. Really high. So do play this card. Play multiples of them. It's nice. Next up, we have an upgrade. My favorite. 3 resources, +3/+3, attached to a non-vehicle unit, because they ain't Jedis. And if the attached unit is a force unit, it gains on attack. Give the defender -2/-2 for this phase. So if I was giving a unit +3/+3 on 3 resources, I don't know why the heck I need to give something -2/-2, except to save 2 HP on my guy. Whew, I don't like this card. But for the exact reason I just said, if you played it on your 2 cost and then you trade into theirs, your guys takes no HP, and then maybe you're sitting with like a 5/6. That's pretty cool. But again, you could play this, and then they could play Power of the Dark Side, and you lost 2 cards, and your opponent still has their card because you didn't trade it because you played Jedi Lightsaber, and that's really bad. And the reason I don't like upgrades. This one has like that plus upside where you could just high roll because your opponent doesn't have removal, and you just You have a really strong game, and I'm going to give it a D for that reason. But most of the time, not happy to playing upgrades. Next up, we have Kanan, which Canon. Is it Canon or Kanan? If it's not Canon, it's filler. All right, so this guy has 4 tags. Force Jedi, Rebel, Spectre. Spectre is a nice tag. It is a 4-cost 4/5. On attack, you may discard 1 card from the defending player's deck, and for each Spectre unit you have, so at least 1, and you're going to heal 1 for each different aspect among the discarded cards. So a 4-cost 4/5. This is on rate, with the upside of, this milling thing, which could be relevant in pre-release, and the second upside of a little bit of healing. I'm going to give this card a B. It's a solid card, has good stats, a 4-cost 4/5. I'm probably already giving a B in this game because not a lot of things are on rate, but it does have this extra healing, so we like it. Luke Skywalker, the ground unit, 7 resources, 6/7, restore 3, which is half a point, okay? But 7 mana, 6/7, so it's 1 below. Like we want our 6 costs to be here. But it gives an enemy unit -3, -3, which could kill something. And then if you lost a friendly unit, it gives it -6, -6. That could kill a lot of things. This card's really strong. I'm gonna give it an A. Almost a build around card. But if we see Luke, it is a legendary. We're very, very excited to be playing blue-white. Luke the hero is a B, so we're already getting some high-rated things on our deck. I do think sometimes it's only going to do -3, -3. If it was always -6, -6, this is an S. I wish it had Sentinel instead of Restore 3. That way it can kill something and keep us alive. But it is what it is. Restore 3 is still semi-relevant. Next up, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're not going to talk about Luke's lightsaber. It is a starter card, guys. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Nice. He has a force tag, 6 resource, 4/6 with Sentinel. So on 6 costs, we're looking probably for a 6/7. So this is 1, 2, 3 below. Sentinel allows 1, so it's only 2 below. When defeated, make up for that 2 below by giving 2 experience tokens to another friendly unit. That's really nice. I would say this card is slightly above rate with that effect, plus with the upside of if you hit a force unit, draw a card. And I would say if you hit a force unit, this is an A. If you don't hit a force unit, probably a B, but maybe even still an A. It's a pretty annoying card. 6 defense is nice. I think 5 is 4 and 5 are breakpoints in this game, and 6 is 6 is a good number. And yeah, all right, moving on. Also, I will say this when defeated effect is more relevant because it has to be defeated for your opponent to kill you if they're playing the ground game. Next up, we have Redemption. It is an 8-cost 6/9. Nice. Unit with Sentinel. It lives in a space. Okay. Stats are kind of weird, but let's see what it does. When played, heal up to 8 total damage from any number of units in her bases. Deal that much damage to this unit. Okay, so let's say we play it on 8 resources and we heal our base 8, which is a lot. Okay, it's a third to a fourth of your base's health. And then you get a 6/1. Okay. If you're against Vader, I guess we heal 7, make it a 6/2. Now my opponent needs to deal with this card. It's in space. It's pretty annoying. I don't think it's a bomb necessarily because it's not answering anything on the board. It also only has Sentinel in space. So my opponent could be getting around it if they're playing a ground game, but then I'm swinging 6 every turn. I don't know. This one is a weird card, and I'm trying to think, like, what if I just played a 6/9 and did nothing? 6/9 Sentinel? Probably kind of happy, but expensive, and if they kill it with the single target removal, I'm really sad. This one is really interesting. I gave it a B, but I think without actually playing pre-release to see how this does, it's gonna be hard to tell. But my expertise opinion, if it is expert at all, is giving this card a B. So yeah, it's a good card. You look to put it in your deck if you're playing heroic. Keep in mind it does cost 8. And at one of my last videos, we'll go over the last few cards and talk about cost distribution, or maybe I'll make a whole separate video about cost distribution. If you guys want me to make a video about cost distribution, let me know. If you got this far in the video and you're like, yeah, I want to listen to this guy talk about cost distribution in his pre-release deck, because that is very relevant, then do let me know. All right, let's move on though. Restored Arc 170. It is a 2-cost 2/3. So we saw a space unit just like this in the dark side, but this guy restores 1 instead of looking at our deck. Practically the same effect, a little bit of do nothing, but it is a space unit with on stats, and for that we're giving it a B. Okay, look to put as many space units in your deck. The reason, again, that I want to rate space units a little bit higher is because I want people to play them. I want you to be like, this is more than just a playable. Space units are evasive. They are premium. You should be putting them in your deck if you see them. The Force is with me. All right. I get to talk positively about an event card that's kind of like an upgrade card. That's cool. All right, so choose a friendly unit and give 2 experience tokens to it. If you control a force unit, also give a shield token to the chosen unit. And you may attack with the chosen unit. And you may attack with the chosen unit. Why don't upgrades say this crap? Okay? This is a really good card. It's going to be a B if you can just give 2 experience tokens and swing with the unit. That way we can't get 2 for 1 because we're swinging with the unit right away and killing something. But +2/+2 is kind of a lot for 4. So I'm not excited about that. But, if you attach this to a force unit, it gets shield. So now I'm turning, let's say, my 3/4 into a 5/6 shielded unit that gets to trade something or just hit my opponent in the face for 5 and they do a 5/6. Kind of like that. So I think if you hit it on a force unit, it's an A. It's really, really strong. And if you just do it to a regular unit, it's a B. But overall, it's like a BA card and really, really strong because it includes that tag of being able to attack with the unit right away. It's very important. Very important. Importante. All right, the Ghost. Not just Ghost, but the Ghost. It is a 6 resource 5/5 Rebel Vehicle Transport Spectre unit that has shield. And I'll tell you guys right now, this is a very, very strong card. It's a space unit that is 1.5 below rate, but shielded lets it be 1 below rate. So just a half below rate. But it's a space unit, which means space units get that extra 1. So it's a half above rate. Okay, half above rate. That means it's a B. But on play, and when it attacks, give a shield token to another Spectre unit. Holy moly. If you guys give this to 1 Spectre unit, it is just insane. If you do this twice, we're like a way above insane. We're winning the game like 90% of the time if this triggers twice. This is going to be the most annoying card your opponent ever sees. It's very hard to remove. Again, why I like, the power of the dark side. I like premium removal, but 5/5 with shield is in space? In space? This would be really annoying. This is an A tier card that is really pushing on the boundaries of what an A tier card can be. If you get a lot of Spectre units, like I mean a bunch, this is an S, and you can build your whole deck around it, and you will win if you get a bunch of Spectre units. So keep that in mind. This is an AS card, not S, AS. Okay. Vigilant Honor Guards is a 5 resource 4/6. While this unit is undamaged, it gains Sentinel. Okay, it's just 1 below rate for that Sentinel tag, but it only happens some of the time. If it was just a 5 mana 4/6 with Sentinel, maybe it's a B. But this card can be played around not too hard, especially with Vader. So we're gonna give it a C. It's just a fine playable card. And finally, it's your boy Yoda. Looks like he's cooking. I don't know what he's cooking, but he's cooking. He is a 3 resource 2/4 force unit that has restore 2, maybe worth half a point. And if you guys notice, its attack is below 1, so we're looking for those points. And then when defeated, choose any number of players that each draw a card. Yes, the perfect mill card. I'm just joking, but I guess it could get there, right? But it will draw you a card when it's defeated. It does not have Sentinel, so your opponent doesn't need to kill it for you. But I will give this card a B. It's a little bit above playable. Anything that says draw card is something that I like putting in my deck. Comes down early. Your opponent doesn't want to kill it because you draw a card, but if they attack base, you restore that 2 back right away. It has a lot of synergy with itself. And yeah, I'd be putting lots of Yodas in my deck if I could. Try to find my bombs. And with that, guys, we have finished the video. I know. We're sad. I'm sad. It's all a little sad, but thank you so much for watching. And if you liked it, hit the like button. I like seeing it. Leave a comment, guys. I'm really excited to be a new YouTube channel and figuring everything out. So if you have advice or things you want me to change, like I'm very open to feedback and learning and going on this journey with you guys. But beyond else, just thanks so much for watching me for this long. Like that's crazy to me. I hope I can be helpful in any way. And yeah, thanks again, guys, and peace